South Africa has many capabilities in the technology sector. For example, one of the areas in which we've done exceptionally well is in mobile technology. It's, in a sense, introduced a revolution to our country, where for many citizens who didn't have access to communication, the arrival of mobile technology has meant an entire transformation of our society and has led to several innovative packages and interventions that have begun to address areas that people needed services in but weren't receiving them. For example, we now have, through mobile technology, the ability to make payments or transfers of money between individuals to automated teller machines. So the link between different technologies and the refinement of existing technology has been a very, very interesting development in the country.
Has that encouraged a lot of industry, looking at data centers, for example, other technology infrastructures into the country? Has there been a knock-on effect?
There has been, certainly, with international companies, but a lot of local development as well. Young people that are involved in information communication technologies have taken opportunities to be new entrepreneurs. And what has been fascinating is how rural communities have seen emerging entrepreneurs that use new technologies also coming into the technology business space. So certainly it has been transformative in that regard.
And do you have an example of one of these entrepreneurs that might be working, say, in relation with communications or data center space?
One of the things that we've been working on is to utilize wireless mesh technology to introduce access to broadband for schools in rural communities. And we've created a set of village wireless mesh workers who provide and sell access to the mesh to local community members and work with the schools as entrepreneurs. And this has been a really fantastic technological project that in fact has been supported through the EU's economic partnership program funding, along with funding from the South African government. So this has seen young people linking to schools, but also to communities, and ensuring that internet access is not the preserve of the privileged, but is something that any person can have access to.
I guess within the data center industry itself, I've spoken to a lot of players within that industry, from the international co-location scene, for example. And you've had the rise of the BRIC nations. A lot of companies have gone into there in recent times to capitalize. There's still a few people sitting on the fence with South Africa. What do you think the reasons are, and what does South Africa need to address to get these people over the other side?
I think one of the areas has been that of cost. There have been lots of concerns about cost of broadband in the country and whether it is in fact sufficiently spread throughout South Africa. The coming on stream of the fiber optic networks, the undersea cables that have been laid, I think has begun to introduce far more reasonable access to this technology. And you have seen greater interest from some of the international partners in really entering the South African space. So I think that's really been a positive development in the past 2 years.
Do you think there's still some ideals people have about Africa that may be false these days as well? I mean, I know back in the day power used to be a concern for something that was as mission critical as some of the technologies that were required. Are there things where South Africa has come a long way and the rest of the world may not actually realize this yet?
Well, I certainly think that there are misperceptions about Africa. We suffer from this as a continent, and maybe South Africa is associated with the rest of the continent as having the same negative features. But clearly, in terms of access to energy, we're a really leading player as a country and within the region and beyond. And we're very pleased that recently our integrated energy plan begins to spell out the manner in which we intend to ensure increased power provision using renewable and other technologies as sources of energy. So we are handling the misperceptions that do exist about Africa.
Yeah. You certainly showed, I guess, with the World Cup that that's something that Africa
that helped
can do.
us a great deal, certainly.
Yeah.
And I think some of the developments we had using quantum physics from some of our universities, where we developed very good technologies at enhancing the protection of some of the information sharing that we had between the stadia, certainly helped to show that encryption is at a very high level in South Africa, and we have good research and development ability.